Can you guys hear me?
Perfect. Yes.
Good deal. First off, thanks everybody that has took time out of their evening and joined on to the first webinar of 2024. I know that most of you probably know we had our staff kind of retreat last week. We got to everybody get together, do our team building, kind of get rejuvenated and ready to roll for 2024. And I'm very excited for this year. Have a lot of things, kind of new goals set for myself as far as the big one starts at team building. Myself am going to try to push as hard as I can to get our team, excuse me, as strong as we possibly can and be able to work together. That's kind of been something. I was always a sports player through high school, and I had a very good high school football coach that they brought the team atmosphere to me. And I feel that, our team, you guys as well, being part of our team, if we all work together, our team can conquer and keep going forward and adapting to the changes that are thrown at us. We are gonna, for 24, we are looking into adding in a few more disciplines, looking a little more into the reining side of things, even into the working cow horse side of things, as well as growing in the groups that we already are in. We are very excited. I know a lot of our sales reps are doing a lot of meetings right now. As most of you might know, maybe not know, we have had to make some changes to the West Coast. And we're really excited. We had a great plan trying to get things going out there on the West Coast, and we were trying to figure out what is going to be our best suit to be able to take care of all the customers on the West Coast, to be the most cost effective and be able to help out on our shipping prices and all that as well. But again, I just want to say thank you guys for joining. We're really excited. I know that there's some really cool things doing with the bingo this year. All of you guys that have joined on tonight are obviously starting out and being able to check off one of your boxes to be able to mark down all the webinars off the bingo card. So I thank you for that. And anytime any of you ever need anything, I'm more than happy to help and always willing to give my best shot. So thanks, Tanya.
Thanks, Ajay. And I'm excited about this upcoming year and all the great things that we're going to do. And now, tonight, I asked two of the territory managers to talk about some of the things that they do that really helps them in growing their territory. And the first person is Katie McGrain. And Katie actually is doing a meeting right now. And so we are going to have one of her top dealers, Nicole Vary, is going to talk with us. What Katie and Nicole have done very well, and there are others. Tammy Myers out in Andy's territory. I'll call on her. I'm going to throw her on the spot at the end. They're very good at setting up at events. And I've always said, I feel like there is a real science to hosting meetings, setting goals, setting up at events. It's not just going up and setting up at any old 4-H show, but it's really looking at the right events, taking product, and I'm really out of my element talking all about that. So I am going to hand it over to Nicole, who is going to speak to what she does when she sets up an event, selecting events to set up. And I think it's going to be really great to hear from another dealer who is really making it. So if you want to grow your area and you think that some of the things that Nicole is going to talk about tonight would really help you and you might want to know more, do let us know and we'll put you in touch with Nicole. She is a wealth of information, as well as Katie and Tammy. So without further ado, Nicole, if you can unmute yourself.
Yep, I'm all unmuted.
Awesome.
If you can hear me.
And I have control of the slides, so you just tell me when you want me to go forth to the next one.
Okay, hello everyone. I'm really happy to say that last year we did about 58 setups last year. We had a great time doing it. Ran myself a little ragged. I will say I have enjoyed January's been a little bit of a null for me. but we've been taking that in, gearing up for what we're going to do for this next year. Supplies. The first thing you need to have is make sure you have shelving, tables, get your chairs together, tablecloths if you're setting up at a tent, or if you're setting up at a venue inside, maybe have a rug or a flooring. Tammy Myers sets up an amazing event. So does Alyssa Fazzola. She does a great job. We have Alyssa's set up on this PowerPoint too. Markers and pens, always have that stuff available. It's the little things that you forget when you get out in these things and you think, oh crap, I could have really used this. Sign up sheets, maybe have something with that they could put their information on that you could use to contact them later on, to put them on an email list or a mailing list. Your catalogs, business cards, put your signage out, all your banners, a chalkboard with maybe your specials. Those are always great to have out front. Your price sheet. Have bags. If people are buying like a bunch of pastes or small items, it's always nice to hand them a bag to send them off with. Maybe have stickers with your logo or whatever on them. Your petty cash, your computer, your iPad. Honestly, this stuff is on a list for me to check off every time I load up my trailer, because infinitely I will forget something. Your credit card processing hardware, your credit card signage. Sometimes people just think you're taking cash. So sometimes it's nice to see that Visa, MasterCard sign, or PayPal even, or any of those other cash apps. I'm a little bit old school, so I don't get into all the new stuff that's out there, but biggest thing, inventory. Make sure you have lots of inventory. If you don't have it, you can't sell it. So make sure it's there. And one thing I forgot to put on this list, and I thought about it after I sent this off to Tanya, is paper towels and wipes. If you set up a lot of places, you get things that are dusty and get dirty. I'm hauling stuff in my horse trailer all the time, and you just, or if you're just, I'm always set up at a lot of barrel races, so you end up with a lot of dust. So if you can wipe that stuff off, it's always great to have those types of things with you. I'm sure other people can have other ideas to throw on this list, but these are things that are always on my checklist as I'm loading up my trailer, before I head out to a place. If you could go to the next slide, Tanya. One thing we did was, when people come up to our booth, we always ask questions like, first thing I always ask people is when they're telling me like if their horse isn't gaining weight, like have their teeth been checked? Have you put them on a worming schedule? Like check in with those people and see if they're doing these things to make sure those things are done. Because some people take that stuff for granted and they just don't know. So it's nice to ask those questions and put it out there, because then you're really caring about that horse and about getting their horse better. Dress professional. Make sure you've got your DAC wear on. Make sure you're not in your, I know it should go without saying, but I've been places and I've seen people who are just not dressed as you would expect to find somebody that you're looking for good information from. So dress professional, wear your DAC attire, whether it's a hat, headband, a shirt, dress nice. I can't express that enough. I come from an old school of get up, get ready, and go out and present yourself for your day. Today, we're finding the younger generation just doesn't do that to that full extent. So make sure you're doing that. Interact with your customers. If they've brought a dog up to it, up to your booth, make nice with the dog. Talk to them about their horse or what they've got going on, or what event you're at, what their draw is, what they're doing. Those are always great things to interact with your customers as well. Know your products. If if you don't know what your products do, you're not going to be able to get that right information out to that person. So make sure you know what you're talking about. We have great people to fall back on. If you don't know the answer, be honest. Like I'll check with Dr. Tanya. I'll check with, in my case, Katie McGrain. We'll get that answer for you and then get back to them. Be confident about what you're saying. And this is from a good friend of mine who helps me out at some of my events. She actually works for a car dealership, and her best advice is move the cars around. So if you're at an event for, say, a couple of days, move things around. Like these two pictures, like in one picture, you don't see the dog products, but in the next picture, you do. Like if you start moving things around, things will catch people's eye. You'll have those same customers walking by, but something else may catch their eye when you move those cars around, so to speak. So don't be afraid to change things up from day to day, even if you're just moving your buckets of oil or your gallons of oil from one place to another. It's amazing how things will catch people's eye. And again, inventory, I can't stress that enough. Make sure you have inventory out for people so that you can have it, whether you have it in the trailer and you can replenish it back into your booth. Make sure you have that available, or at least have the option to say, hey, we can order that for you and we can have that shipped to your house. Make sure you have options. Always have a plan B. Sometimes you need a C or a D just to get through your weekend, but make sure you have those kind of things available to you. The next couple slides are just some different setups. Alyssa did an amazing, oh my gosh, I just loved this presentation she did up at Equine Fair up in Massachusetts. It's absolutely incredible what they did with that. And I asked her if I could post that picture, and she graciously said yes. So I thank her so much for that. We set up the next picture over on the right up in Hamburg, New York, and I think that was by myself, and Katie McGrain helped me out with that. Turned out great. We went to shelving after we did an event that we had to do a 10x10 booth, and I just couldn't stretch things out, and we had to squish things together. These shelving units worked out great. They hold 600 pounds each shelf. So when you stack things in your trailer, you can even load these shelves up in your trailer and have them be safe. So that works out great too. The next slide, we have just some little things, like you can do a pyramid of your poultice or your oils. If you're just setting up with tables, like you don't have to do anything elaborate, just make it look nice. Set everything out so people can see it well. Keep it clean. Put your packaging away. Make sure your things are hidden behind stuff so that it doesn't clutter. These are just some nice things that you can do. The one with the tables is just a setup I did down at a venue where I didn't have my shelving units at the time, and I just popped my tent up and put tables out. And I still do that to some occasions. Like there are some places that the shelving units just don't fall into place, and it's just easier to take the tables and set stuff up. Use what you have. It's amazing. Like if you look at the deer blocks in the corner of that right picture, those are just sitting on actually just a milk crate that I just draped a towel over. So, you get creative with what you have. You don't have to go to elaborate extents to make things look nice and still put out a nice presentation. So take time to answer some of the people's questions. Answer them in complete sentences. Just don't answer them with the simple, how much is DAC oil? $40. Like the current price is $40. Don't just leave it at that, saying, well, we've got a 5-gallon for this amount of money, and try to upsell them. Sometimes, it has a shelf life of this if you keep it dry and cool. Sometimes people will look at that better deal, and that's what they're after. And in our economy today, that's just not a bad deal to do. And your follow-up, if you, sometimes we'll set out cards people to put on to do a mailing list or do a drawing, and they'll give us their email. Make an email list so that you can shoot out those emails to specials that you're having. Those things will really help you out to follow up with those current customers that you have or that have just stopped into your booth. Sometimes it's not just a one-time sale. Sometimes those will be customers for life, and they'll contact you as long as you keep up good service. So I think that's about all I have. So if you have any other questions, anybody has anything, I kind of ran through that kind of fast, but if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Again, Alyssa does a great job. Tammy Myers, she has a great setup as well. Those are some people that I really look to, and I see their setups and think, man, you know, that's awesome. So please feel free to reach out to any of us and ask us questions. I'm sure they'd be happy to help you, and as well as I am.
Nicole, thank you very much for giving us your insight. These are all fantastic pointers. I learned a lot. I love the moving the cars around. 100%. That was a cool idea. You're definitely right. If you've got the same customers walking past, how do you draw them back in and moving your stuff around? And also the email list, taking people's names. I don't write my email down if I'm not prepared for somebody to send me something. If I don't want you to send me something, I'm not giving you my email. So if people are giving you their information and they're writing their email down or giving you their cell phone, they are giving you the authority to contact them about your DAC business or about the DAC company. So I think that is also a really important, some really great things. Tammy, I don't know whether I saw Tammy in the list here. I think I did always see Tammy. Yeah. Tammy, do you want to unmute yourself and just throw in another few pointers? You have that wonderful trailer that, I know there's a lot of investment in it, but I'd love to hear your extra thoughts as well.
Yeah, the trailer, when you're going to events, I'm going to barrel races, just like was mentioned before, and other types of shows. Man, the trailer is a lifesaver. I actually just got a bumper pull 28-foot so that if I'm just going to a one-day event, I don't have to take my big living quarter one. But something just kind of notes I made, on your business cards, I quit getting the regular business cards, and all mine are stickers so that I can put my business card on every single product, on every single catalog, so that your name is out there. Something also I have in my trailer, I have a leaf blower. You can just buy a little one and it will, get all that dust off of your product. My current clients, pardon?
That's a great idea.
My current clients, if they refer someone to me and that person buys either a 5-gallon pail or a 20-pound bag or more, I give them a cash incentive, like $10 off your next order. Let's see, if you're setting up a booth, before when I did use my 3-horse trailer and packed all my stuff in it, my husband kind of spoils me, but we put down a floor underneath our Easy Up tent so that your product isn't sitting on the ground and absorbing moisture. So you can go to a feed store and they have those little pallets that they put on the dollies to like stack bags of feed on. Just something as simple as that's going to help save your product so that it doesn't get wrecked. That's about all that I had.
Sorry, I was talking away there and I was muted. One more, if either of you wanted to comment on this, how do you choose events to go to? I mean, do you just go to any event, or is there a method to choosing good events to go to?
My most successful events, obviously the Midwest Horse Fair, but barrel races, those people will spend money on their horses. I went to a ranch horse show and I wasn't nearly as successful, but when I found out that they spend $750 in entry fees for the weekend, I kind of understood that. So I guess that's, I have a lot of clients and I try to do the same events every year so that they know I'm going to be back and that they
Consistency.
can get stuff. Yep.
What about you, Nicole?
Yeah.
Do you have any kind of rhyme or reason to which events you choose?
I try to choose local events. I try to stay where people are going to keep coming back to me. So we do have a lot of local events here that we go to. We probably go within an hour to 2 hours away from our home. Mostly barrel events. I do have some AQHA pleasure events that I do go to. But I have to agree with Tammy as far as the barrel races seem to be a more of a strong suit. However, we do have one venue that we've gone to that's an AQHA event, and we've had great success at. And so this year, actually, I'm going to be tag teaming with somebody else to actually set up a booth. We're going to be set up at Equine Affair and in Ohio here in April, and at the same time we have an AQHA event we've gone to for the last couple of years, and it's been very successful for us. So we've got somebody else who's going to take our small trailer and is going to go up there and set up for us. So it's sometimes you just have to take a chance.
Yep.
That AQHA event, we were very reluctant at first. And when we went, it was, I mean, it's a whole nother venue from going from barrel races to going to that. And it was huge for us. And so we try to keep going back each year. So, but we try to stay local for the most part within 2 hours, but we will go beyond that point just for some really big events.
Yeah.
But I mean, your local people are your people who are going to come back to you all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to be your repeat buyers. We do have some people who have met us out in big venues who order, and we mail to them continuously. So it's all great. So sometimes you have to get out of your comfort zone and just try it and see. We did go to a double back event that somebody asked us to go to up in New York, and 2 weekends in a row, and the second weekend was a complete flop. So we aren't going to do the second weekend, but we'll still do the first weekend.
And I follow both of your Facebook pages, and you're both very, you've got a network of people that follow you, and I know that you're always letting people know where you're going to be. So it's not like you just pop up there. So I think that's another great pointer, is you let people know where you're going to be. So thank you so much, ladies. I mean, I am inspired by you guys when I see the pictures, see all of you success in the company. You work hard. I will say that you're on every webinar without fail. You take advantage of every educational opportunity. And I think that the proof is in your sales and your success. So thank you very much for being willing to chat with us this evening. Now,
thank you so much, Tanya, for everything.
Not a problem. I am now going to turn it over to, was there another one here? Shipping. I'm going to turn it over to Andy Ellsworth. Let me see if I can do this here. While he drags himself up off the bathroom floor, because he's gotten his sickness from his children, just like me. I got COVID from my sicky children and husband. But, one of the things that I have noted since I started working with Andy all those years ago, it really doesn't seem like that long ago, is he's really good at setting goals, but really good at breaking it down into, I say, minute by hour, by day, by week, by month. It's never, I've just got this gigantic goal. How am I going to achieve that? He really is very good at breaking it down into size, a very realistic expectation. So, Andy, let us know what your thoughts are on goal setting and meetings, and um, impart some of your wisdom on us.
Yeah, and that's the two things I'm going to talk about for setting goals, but then also, hosting a meeting and hosting a successful meeting. So I have on there first, look at past sales. Everyone on here can get with their TM, and you can get your report from the year before as far as the number you sold, but there's also a report where it'll tell you, hey, you sold 20 Orange Superior 40 pounders, you sold 10 20 pounders, and it'll show you the percent of your sales that you had in those. And I think that really helps come DAC days or come when there's a sale. You can look at it and say, hey, you know what? Last year I sold 50 40-pound orange. Maybe instead of getting 5 right now, I should get 15 or 20 and get it at a better price. So I would strongly suggest, you don't know where you're going if you don't know where you came from. So I think everyone should get with their territory manager, and maybe some of you guys track it yourself. Get with your territory manager and get your numbers from the previous year. That kind of gives you somewhere to start, so you know what way to go. Be realistic, but also push yourself. I've had a lot of conversations, whether it's with territory managers or maybe even new dealers, and they're like, oh yeah, we're going to blow the top off this. We're going to sell, 100,000 in the first year. And, I always say, well, that's great. And I really, really hope we do, but let's feel it out. Let's kind of see where we're at, because it's really easy to get intimidated. If you set that goal way up there and then all of a sudden you realize, man, I don't have a chance in doing it. That's intimidating to people, and sometimes they'll quit. My suggestion is reset your goals. If you get into it, you get a little better feeling for it. Don't be afraid to adjust your goals. Maybe you push them up farther because you're having a great year. Maybe you drop them down a little bit because something unexpected came up. And then the big one again, break it down into small, less intimidating goals. And if you want to go to the next slide, Tanya, we can hit on that a little bit. So I just kind of threw this in here. As a territory manager, we've got different goals, and I'll talk a little bit towards that. But as a dealer, we're all in it for a different reason. Some of us are in it to maybe get it a little cheaper for our horse and go to a couple events. Some of us are in it to make it a business. So find the goal that fits the reason that you're doing it. But then if we look at this, and I just threw these numbers out there for easy figuring, say your goal is $50,000 for the year. 50,000 is intimidating. You start thinking about that, you go, man, how am I going to sell $50,000 worth? But if you start to break it down per month, that's 6,000. That's a lot more attainable. You look at the week, that's a little under $1,000 a week will get you to your goal. And then if you look at the day, and I did 260 on the advice of Tanya. I know some of us work 6 or 7 days a week, but 5-day work week, you got 260 days to work. That's $191. So those day goals are really attainable, and you're going to have days that, maybe you don't quite make that, but then you're going to have those days that, you double or triple it. Just because you double or triple it that day, don't think, oh, I can take next week off, or I don't have to return that call. Put that in the bank and save it for a rainy day. But if you look at that $191, well, shoot, that's a 20-pound cool gut and a 1-pound natural. That hits your daily goal. Or I think our easiest sells the oil, a 5-gallon bucket of oil and a 5-pound column B. On retail prices, that's going to hit you at $200. So break those goals down and make them more attainable. If we want to go to the next slide. I think one big thing that maybe we miss out on sometimes is make sure you're capitalizing on the sale items. And I know some of us buy in bulk or large quantities where the 5% off doesn't make a huge difference. But when you call a customer, go out of your way and call a customer and say, hey, I know you've used orange in the past. It's on sale this month. Or, hey, next month the oil's on sale. How are you sitting? Everyone likes a sale. Even if it's just a few bucks off, everyone likes to get a little bit cheaper. But then also you build that relationship with that person. They look at you and say, hey, they tried to save me some money. They took time out of their day knowing that I use this product to try to save me a little bit of money. So it helps build that relationship, build those repeat customers. Look for boosters. And when I talk about boosters, maybe your sales are down a little bit, or maybe you're just kind of stagnant. Look for new events. Go to something different. I know, Tammy and Nicole talked about barrel races, but there's so many different horse events out there. Look at maybe your 4-H groups, try to get involved with them. But then also don't forget about other discipline or other product lines that we have, both the canine and livestock line. I think Kara's on here, Kara Andra up in Wisconsin, and Kara set a goal for herself last year at DAC days, and she achieved that goal, but she branched out a little bit. She went to, I believe, 1 or 2 dog shows, and it was great for her. Get into a new group, get into a new clientele, that's really, really untapped. So don't be afraid to branch out, diversify. I personally, when I'm going to events or looking at events, but I also suggest my dealers, don't go to the same group of people every weekend. The AQHA world is what I grew up in, and you go to 2 or 3 AQHA shows in a period of 2 months, you see the exact same people every time. So I think a better use of time is maybe set up at that first one in the spring, kind of get your clients there, get them taken care of. And then maybe that one that's a couple months later, reach out to your customers. Don't maybe set up a booth, but reach out to your customers and say, hey, I'm going to swing through the show. I know you got a bucket of oil last time. How are you sitting on it? So I think that's a really good way to grow your sales. The livestock line is another really good avenue that we have. I know in certain areas, the livestock world is just as big as the equine world. So don't be afraid to use that as well. Track and reflect. And I think this is the most important part. If you just go out and you go to a show and, in your mind, you say, hey, I should have done this. I should have done this. I'll remember next time. You won't. So I suggest everyone, and this is for whether you're selling out of your barn, whether you're selling out of your store, or you're going to events, get a notebook. And that notebook is going to contain everything important to you. Whether it's notes on an event, it's things you want to do differently next time at the event. Maybe it's different products that you want to bring to that event. And then you can look back at that. Next year it rolls around, you're 11 months later and you're planning on going to that event. Your guys' memory might be better than mine, but I'm sure as heck not going to remember all those. But I can go back to that notebook and I can say, hey, I sold out of E-Boost here. Or I had a lot of requests for E-Natural or whatever it may be. I think it's extremely important to track that and have it in writing, whether it's an email, whether it's a list on your phone or a notebook. I think Tanya, and I know Everett's giving me a hard time about my notebook, and my wife does as well. She goes, what are you going to do if I lose that? I said, hopefully I don't lose it. So, but then reflect on it as well. Was that event worth your time? Do you see potential in it growing? As Tammy mentioned, she went to the ranch riding deal. And it wasn't great, but when you look at what those people have to pay just to get there, a lot of that wallet share is gone. Maybe they have $1,000 to spend that weekend and 750 of it goes towards just getting the horse entered. There's not very much left over. So definitely try those events, but then reflect on it and say, you know what? I don't think this worked, and I think this is why. Quite a few years ago, and we're looking at maybe getting back into it, the Minnesota Horse Fair. Those big horse fairs, I try to give them 2 or 3 years to really get a grasp on it, and it just didn't look. Every year I went back and looked at my notes, and it just didn't take off. Now, that was 14 years ago, and DAC has grown a lot since then, so we might look at doing it again now, but I've still got those notes from that. I thought it was more of a home show rather than an equine show, so.
Hey,
So
Andy,
don't be, yes.
can I butt in here real quick on that? And you talked right there. You said usually give it, 3 years or 3 tries. I think that's something that everybody can look at when they do try an event. If you try it one time and it might not go good or something might happen, I think we do that here at DAC as well. We take that, 3-year mark and try an event, for 3 years or the same discipline for 3 different times. Where you might be seeing that same group of people, just to really give it a fair shot. If you go one time and it doesn't work, that might not mean it's never going to work. And so I think that's something that was a good key there to make sure you do give it a fair try when you do try new events.
Yep, definitely. And another thing we've got to realize, people buy from people. There's tons of supplements out there. There's tons of options out there. But if you can gain their trust, sometimes I've made my best sales not selling a single person anything. I help them with the management part, or I say, hey, maybe we should try this. I don't think we have a product that's going to work for you. But they respect that. They come back and they say, hey, he didn't just try to sell me on something. He wanted to help me out overall. So really try to gain that. I liked what Nicole said about, heck, if they come up there with a dog, talk to the dog. If they come up there with a little kid, talk to the little kid, and kind of gain that. But the reflection part is key. Look back on it, and again, give it a chance. If there's an obvious reason why it didn't work, then maybe jump out, but give it a few years. And then the last one on there is share your goals. Everyone hates accountability. I think that's personally what's wrong with a lot of America. No one's accountable. And again, if you tell someone that you're going to do it, tell someone that's going to say, hey, how you doing? How you coming along? Let them hold you to that fire. Let them hold you to that standard. Tell, whether it's your wife, tell your territory manager, tell, your best friend, maybe tell another dealer. And when you guys talk, it can get kind of competitive. Myself, I'm very competitive. And it's like, well, you're lagging behind, or, you need to pick it up, or you're not going to make it. And I kind of like that banter a little bit. But this one, I set my goals last year. And those of you that are out at DAC days, I spoke there kind of on the same stuff we're talking about tonight. But I set a goal last year of $2 million. And I hadn't told anyone that until the day at DAC days. And just as I was getting off the stage, his mind slips me right now. And maybe Everett can chime in and tell me. I talked to Everett earlier. Just as I was getting off the stage, he pipes up. He goes, what's your goal for next year? And some of you may not have heard it because I kind of said it on the side of the microphone, but I said $2 million. And there wasn't a day after that March DAC days that I didn't think about that. I was in front of a whole group of people. I said, I want to do $2 million. I didn't want to come back there next year and sell 1.5. I wanted to meet that goal. So don't be afraid to share your goals. It doesn't have to be a large group like that, but someone that's going to hold you accountable, someone that's going to ask you how you're doing, someone that's going to maybe give you advice if you're struggling. And then the last one before we slide on here, I didn't even have it on there, but don't be afraid to ask for help. I think we've got a really good support team, whether it's amongst the dealers, whether it is in the office, whether it's with Dr. Cubitt, whether it's with Alltech, Zenpro, Kim, and whoever it may be. I think we've got a really good support team, and it goes back to a little bit what RJ said. We're all working for the same goal here, and if we can help you out, we're definitely going to do that. So that's a little bit about setting goals. I think the biggest thing, again, make a realistic goal, but make steps to get there, and then constantly be looking at that, track and reflect. I had it down to the day what I had to sell, and just look at that, and don't put it off for a week or a month. We're already 1/12 done with the year. Realistically, we should have probably had this meeting first part of January, so we're not falling behind. If you put it off for 3-4 weeks here and there, by the time you get to the end of the year, you've skipped out on 2 months. And it's easy to get behind. It's really hard to keep up. So to catch up as well. So that's a little bit about setting goals, and I'd be more than happy, if any of you guys want to, share your goals with me or talk through them a little bit, that's what I'm here for as well. Then we're going to change gears just a little bit, and we're going to talk about hosting a successful meeting. If you want to, you got it. So I think meetings, when we talk about meetings, there's 2 different types. There's in-person meetings. There's also webinars. I think that we underutilize our webinars in the English world. Just like tonight, we could have anyone we want on here. So don't be afraid to invite your customers. This is more geared towards the in-person meeting. Biggest thing is plan ahead. Don't start a meeting. Don't start planning for it a couple weeks out, because it's really hard to get everything in place, give you time to advertise that meeting, and make it worth your time. Pick a good date and location. You're never going to find a day that works for everyone. There's always going to be something going on, but try to find a day, whether it's the time of the day or the day of the week, that works for the majority of the people that are in your area. Invite. I cannot stress this enough. You know, a good meeting doesn't happen just by posting something on social media or just by hanging up a flyer. My best meetings, my customers, my dealers advertise within their community. Maybe they have a newspaper. Maybe they have a call line where they can call in there and say, hey, we've got a meeting on such and such date. I think the best type of invite is face to face. Because if you go to someone, you shake their hand, you hand them a flyer and you say, hey, here's what we got going on. I really hope you can make it. You know, we're going to have some good topics. We'd really like to see you there. So utilize all of those. I think the face-to-face one is the most successful. Don't be afraid to mail flyers out. You know, maybe you have someone that's a little farther away that you can't get to. Mail them. I know in the English world, it's easy to send a text. It's easy to, you know, send an email, but the old snail mail sometimes means a lot more than that stuff. So don't be afraid to mail it. Get that date set. Reach out to your customers right away, a month out. Let them know when that date is. But don't stop there. I'd also reach out 1 week prior, and then I'd reach out the day of if you can. You know, shoot them. That's when maybe you can shoot them a text, or maybe you've got a voicemail for them. You can leave them a message, say, hey, don't forget, you know, we're having the meeting tonight. So biggest thing is plan ahead. And then if we flip over to the next slide there, ask your customers, let them be involved. Ask your customers what they want to hear about. You know, again, obviously we work for DAC. We want to represent these products though as much as we can. But if we can work something else in there, you know, whether it's, you know, maybe talking about hay quality or talking about the digestive tract or whatever, if we can work something in there that is going to suit better to your customers, they're going to keep coming back. They really appreciate that. You know, sometimes we get too narrow-minded and we just want to pound DAC down their throat and DAC. And I've found in my areas, it's a lot better to look at the bigger picture and help them with the management and help them, you know, with issues they're having. And then you can incorporate a DAC product in there. And then have the right attitude. You know, I've done meetings where the dealer's happy and ready to go and proud to be there, and it just spreads through the whole group, and that affects sales. I know Tania told me once, she goes, I was up doing a meeting, I got the crowd to laugh, and she said in the back of her mind, she goes, Andy's going to love this because he thinks they're going to buy more because they're happy. But it is very true. I've done meetings on the other end where, you know, maybe the dealer's kind of grumpy, not in the best mood, and, you know, doesn't greet people and just kind of a lump on a log, and you can see it in the sales. So our part as territory managers, your part as dealers, you know, try to keep that positive attitude, you know, thank them for being there and giving us a little bit of their time, and just, you know, we hope we can help them out. And then I've got another note here, which I kind of covered. Don't forget to utilize the webinars. Again, I think that's one, you know, there's no reason, you know, that everyone that's on here, every dealer that's on here shouldn't have maybe 2 or 3 other people that hop on with them. And I think that's something maybe you see in your area or in your community. Maybe people are struggling with, let's say, EPM or whatever it may be. That might be something you reach out to your territory manager, you reach out to Tania and say, hey, next webinar, this is what I'm struggling with in my area. Can we incorporate a little bit into there? And then you can go back to that customer and you can say, hey, hop on this webinar. You know, we're going to talk about the issues that are plaguing you, and you'll be able to answer questions or ask questions. So that's kind of setting up for the meeting. And then if we flip over to the next slide there, the night of the meeting, be ready. And I cannot stress this enough. You know, if you need seating, have that seating there. Make sure you've got proper lighting. Price sheets. I think this is key. My best meetings, the customer has a price sheet made up. With all of my dealers that I do meetings for, I mail them our retail price sheet with the sale column blank, and then they can write in whatever pricing they want on there. And if you're able to hand that customer that, have them put it in their catalog when they walk in, then when I'm up there talking about a product, they can look at it and they can say, hey, it's $120 or whatever. I've seen meetings struggle when those customers don't have that product or that price sheet right in front of them. So make sure you've got your pricing. Don't be afraid at those meetings to give quantity buys, I should say. You know, I know Nicole hinted at it a little bit. I know Tammy does a great referral program. tell someone, hey, if you get 3 bags, I'll give you a couple extra dollars off or whatever it may be. Move that product. The customer appreciates it. They're going to come back and they're going to take advantage of it again. Make sure you have a ticket book and have a designated spot that you're set up ready to take orders. A lot of the meetings are later at night. Some people they want to get out of there right away. So make sure that you're ready. Have that ticket book set up. Be off to the side where you're not in everyone. Have kind of a table set up and, make it look professional. Make it look like, a business and be ready for those customers. And then make sure the meal's ready. And, I know all territory managers do it a little different, but on my end, I usually take care of that part. Make sure you've got your plates, make sure you've got your pop, your chips, all that stuff. Make sure that that's ready to go for your customers as well. And then after the meeting, I think this is just as important as any of it. Deliver the product in a timely manner. I do 2 different types of meetings. I've got some meetings where the customers have product there that night and the customer can take it. But inevitably, you're going to run out of something, or maybe you don't have a specialty product that someone wants. You're going to have to order it in. Make sure you get it ordered in right away, but also make sure you get it to that customer right away. I've had some people call me and I've had some issues with, they get it at the meeting and then maybe it's 2 weeks later and that customer gets it. Well, not only are they upset about it, but that's 2 weeks they could have been feeding their horse our product and they would have been coming back 2 weeks sooner to buy that product. So make sure you get that product out in a timely manner. Follow up with those customers. Again, collecting, Nicole talked a little bit, Tammy does a good job at it, talking about collecting information if you're at an event. But your meetings, make sure you follow up with that customer. Maybe on their ticket after that night, write down, maybe what issue they're having. Maybe their pony's been lame and they get some yucca or whatever. Follow up with that customer. Just check in and say, hey, how you getting along? And maybe they're getting along great. That's awesome. Or maybe they aren't quite seeing the changes they need to, and then we can kind of readjust and maybe go a different route. And then just as setting goals, track, reflect, and plan. Track those meetings. Write down how many people you had there. I like when my dealers write down the names of the people they had there. So next year they can reach out to them and say, hey, you're at the meeting last year. Here you are again this year. It's coming up. Look at that meeting. Was it good? Don't be intimidated if you have a bad meeting, especially if it's your first one. I remember some of the first meetings that I've had, they were terrible. But then those customers, those territories, or those dealers, I should say, have turned into some of my top producing dealers. So look at that meeting and don't give it up on the first time. Maybe adjust. Say, hey, we had it on a Saturday night. Maybe that's not the best night. Let's move it during the week, or let's move it during the day sometime. And then plan for your next meeting. Again, take notes in there, what worked, what didn't, what you want to adjust, and then pull it out next year. With my dealers, I try to get them on kind of a routine. We do their meeting about the same time of the year every year. So they can kind of know it's coming up, but then also their customers kind of know. And one thing I've noticed since we've been able to get those, say, an Amish community into a routine, you'll have some guys that'll buy a year's supply because they know we're going to be back there next year at around that same time. So they pencil it out and they say, hey, I need 4 bags of orange, 4 bags of DDA, and 4 buckets of oil to get me through for that year. And that kind of goes back to the quantity buy as well. Don't be afraid those customers that give you a big order like that, don't be afraid to give them a little better price. So that is really all I have. I can't stress enough the track and reflect part of it. Look back and see what worked and then adjust. So
Thank you so much, Andy. A couple of other pointers that kind of stem from what everybody has said tonight. I know that by the end of a week, I'm tired, and Andy is, oh, he's a hurry up and wait kind of guy. He is never late. He never lets the dealer ever worry that we're not going to be there with enough. We have so much time to set up that meeting, to chat. Oh, maybe this we forgot. We have time to go get it. So, giving yourself enough time for, always something might go wrong. So giving yourself enough time. The other thing was, I remember one of the very first meeting that I did in Florida with Tina and Randy, and I talked too much. Not many people came, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is never going to work." Then the next time we did a meeting there, people realized, oh, we weren't just, you know, selling a product, we were actually educating people. And so the next time we did a meeting there were a lot of people. So again, kind of like the um, going to an event, if it didn't work, wasn't great the first time, maybe you didn't have a lot of attendance. Sometimes with a meeting, you might have great attendance the next time because they're like, oh, we didn't quite know what that was going to be like. And wow, we learned a lot. We got a great meal. We were around great people. And so the next time, it was really good. And I've also noticed, these are just my observations because I don't put on meetings, but with the bigger meetings, that I've noticed that the dealer might have a friend or a family member writing the tickets so that they can continue talking to their customers. Because people always have questions. Oh, I have a horse that's got a bum leg, or he's got a bad coat, or whatever, and they want to ask those questions, and you don't necessarily want to hold up your ticket line answering those questions. So if you know it's going to be a bigger meeting, you might have somebody help you take the ticket so that you can be answering a lot of questions. I think that's all I had. I would love it if you guys had questions for Andy or Tammy or Nicole, or Randy or anybody. Um, please feel free. I also want to talk a little bit about DAC days because we've talked about hosting a good meeting, and other educational opportunities, and going to events. DAC days, I know that for a lot of, we'll use the English term, English. We Most people have jobs and they're doing this as a side, and so your job might be Monday to Friday, but I will say that if you can take the time off to come to DAC days, you will see significant growth in your business. And we're going to have some excellent speakers this year. Jenna Antonucci, who has partnered with DAC for over 15 years. And she is the first female trainer of a Triple Crown race, and she is going to be amazing to listen to. Just kind of what it takes to get to that point. And I remember Tina and I going and working with Jenna when Jenna was just a trainer in Florida who was taking horses from New York and training them in Florida and trying to make a living. And now, she stuck with the things that worked, tried new things, and kept sticking with the things that continue to work for her, and good partnerships. And look where she's ended up. Um, the partnerships that we have with different manufacturers. So we've got Paul Kalmbach, the owner of Kalmbach. We have a lot of our products manufactured for us by Kalmbach. And I think it's really important as we talk about NASC, we've talked about different suppliers. It's going to be really interesting to hear Paul talk about their quality control, their kind of uh, importance of creating good products and excellence in their manufacturing, so that again you can have that level of what you do every day when you put yourself in front of people and ask them to buy a DAC product is you put your reputation on the line. So being able to back that up by having good partners that we work with is going to be really good. I will be there to speak more on some relaunching of some products. Michael Eggleston from Kemen, where we get some of our ingredients, again, talking about the partnership there. Um, Andy, Andy's always texting me little notes that he's forgotten. DAC Days Midwest. Why don't you throw that out there?
Yeah, and I know we're all, we've got East Coast, West Coast, way down south. And one thing that I've done, it's a day trip for my people get out to Ohio. It's a day back. So it's a 3-day event. I started in August. I started an event in the Midwest here where it's a 1-day trip for them. We still have a great lineup of speakers. It's still about education. It's kind of a mini DAC days. But if that's something, and I open it up to dealers and then customers as well, if that's something in your territory that you think would thrive and you think would work, definitely get with your territory manager and start playing in it, kind of look at it.
Yeah. And then lastly, I know that sometimes webinars, we talk about webinars and I host these webinars and it's easy for you to get on a webinar. But then when we say to you, oh, why don't you host a webinar? That can be a little intimidating. Here's what you need in order to host a webinar. Obviously, you need to get people to your location, but really all you need is internet and a big TV. Because I need to be able to share a screen. So the TV is great. You just plug your computer right into, or your phone even, into the TV. And sound. Sound can be a challenging one because, oh, do I have to have speakers? How am I going to do this? The TV takes care of that. You just turn the volume up. So to have a webinar, you just need to bring the people in, and it's not that intimidating. It's actually pretty easy, and I can
And
be
and I'll and
very
I'll add
flexible.
something there.
Yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
I'll add something there, Tanya, as well. They don't even have to be, in the same room.
No.
You can send the link. Everyone's got a smartphone now. I know we have a lot of our Amish customers that call in and listen.
Hmm.
And, they've told me time and time again, they learn so much from these webinars. So don't be afraid to invite your customers on them, guys.
Yep, absolutely. um Randy, you've been doing this a long time. Tina's got no voice, but she might type some things. RJ, anybody got any comments? Any cool thing that anyone on tonight? I mean, this is our opportunity to share. That's what these webinars are for. I mean, I picked a few people that I thought might be able to give us some information, but if you've got any little tidbits that you'd love to throw out there, um, please share.
Hey, Kara, if you don't mind, can you talk about the dog show that you went to, if you're still on?
She was on. Oh, yep, she's on. She's got to unmute herself. Maybe she can't.
Oh, maybe not. If you can figure it out,
That's
Kara,
all right.
just hop in.
Yeah. Um,
I'll jump in a little bit. We talked a lot about shows and stuff, and I guess I've kind of grown up in the quarter horse side of things. And one thing I feel is a lot of times when you do go to those events, and it might be something if you're thinking about going, maybe don't get a booth the first year and just go and walk around and wear your DAC gear or something in that sense, and carry a DAC bag around or something, and drop off catalogs just to maybe barn aisles and stuff, and see what kind of feedback you get. Maybe get the feel of what that event might be like versus putting money out there to maybe if you get a booth space or something in that sense. We've done that multiple times, and that's where this year my goal is to try to get into some of those events that we've been to now. We think, yeah, it might be a good fit for us. And I think those all just kind of came to us by just walking the event and seeing, is it a fit for DAC? Or, you know what, you might go there and think, I don't think that's going to be a good fit for me.
okay, awesome. Guys, I really appreciate everybody getting on tonight. I know it wasn't our typical webinar, but I feel like I've learned a whole lot from these folks. Um, and if you need anything from any of them, do reach out. I do recommend Andy mentioned goal setting and being accountable to somebody. Your territory manager is the first person that you should get in touch with. And maybe it's just weekly check-ins, maybe it's monthly check-ins. So DAC days, food, and Thursday night, oh yeah, the cocktail hour, please come. If you're going to come to DAC days, come the night before. It's great to be able to take a tour around the DAC building and then just kind of on a very low key be able to chat to other people and chat to the DAC folks. Um,
One other thing, if you guys are doing these awesome events and getting out there to new things like that, please tag us. Make sure you use the hashtag DAC Powered. Send pictures to our Facebook page, testimonials, anything like that. The more we can do and, post about you being at these events. Maybe you're going to a big event. We'd love to put that on our social media pages. Somebody might see it, and that's crazy how it travels all over so fast, and different people do see that. So by all means, please send all that stuff. And I'll touch quick on DAC Days. We are really excited about it. Have some great speakers lined up and some cool changes that are being made to a handful of products. I think it's going to be a great year. I'm excited to really get to see some of the results of what the GI Pro 3 has done for us, being able to have that with Performance Horse Nutrition. So if you guys can, I know it is getting closer to the time. One cool thing is our area around here, if you can plan it to where it's a little trip, Amish country in our area is very cool. So for you guys that might be a little further away, if you can come for the weekends, please, we'd love to have you. Anything that I can ever do to help anybody, again, I'm always here.
And so Andy, when he got off the stage last year, said, I'm going to hit 2 million. And he said it real quiet. My goal this year is, there is a wonderful young lady who's a wealth of knowledge and has a really cool backstory in the equine community, is Miss Aubrey Jacobs. And my goal this year is I'm going to get her on one of these webinars, and she's going to tell us her story. And now it's out there, and everybody heard it, Aubrey. So prepare yourself. And with that, I'm going to sign off. Thanks, everybody. March 22nd. Great webinar. Yep, we'll be on YouTube. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.